Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Primal Chaos here, and yes, I'm still in lockdown. Yes, I still have corona, but you know what that means? While I'm still awake, more content. More content! So, what we're going to do is something really different today. Someone suggested that I do The Who, and I mean, when I'm talking about The Who, I'm not talking about Pinball Wizard. I'm talking about Mongols' greatest export into the metal scene. Look, to be honest with you, I've cast a cursory glance at The Who before. The videos have gone pretty viral. It would be a surprise if anybody hadn't seen them. But to be honest with you, I've never done a deep dive. I thought, oh, this is cool, kind of gimmicky kind of thing. But I'm sure there's a lot more to it, and that's what I aim to find out today. I'm going to really do a deep dive in their song Wolf Totem and see if there's anything I can add to the conversation. It's going to be a tricky one because, I mean, obviously this isn't my expertise. It's not my area of knowledge at all. So more than anything, I'm probably going to be picking out things that just sound interesting to my ear. That's what it's going to be. There's probably not going to be a lot of educational space, if that makes any sense. But let's have a look. You never know. Might as well jump straight in. The Who. Very cool. I love a video clip that's got a intro at the start. I mean, just look at the production value. It's just beautiful, right? On a steel horse he rides. Bon Jovi. Man. Oh. More volume. All right, I'm gonna have to stop somewhere. That seems like as good a place as any. So far, man, there's just something about tribal drumming, right? It doesn't matter where it's from. It just always has kind of like a depth to it that just sort of seems like it's got history. It's got a historical weight or significance to it. Like, I'm not an expert. I couldn't tell you when those sort of drums came in. I couldn't tell you if that was Native American drums or South American drums or even like Japanese taiko drum sort of things, except they'd be deeper, I'd imagine. But like, it just feels like you're about to witness something, you know. Anytime stringed instruments that are sort of microtonal come into play as well, it's the same thing. It just has this texture to it, like this raspy texture to it that just sounds real and rich and organic, you know. And it just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and I love that. Now, the other thing about the vocals, I can't in my mind's eye place where feel where it's being placed, because it doesn't sound like where he's producing that sort of raspiness is the same as it would be with traditional Western sort of harsh vocals. It's different. It sort of feels like it sits in a different place. I'll see if I can figure it out. Oops, we're not changing volume. Let's go back here. I'm real curious. Cool. Is that whistle... Is that part of the instrument that he's playing, or is that a sample of like a bird or something? Because it sounds almost as if it's like a harmonic squeak that's coming out maybe from the other string. It almost, it definitely feels more nasal, like almost like upper palate, lower nasal cavity kind of, like that's where the resonance is coming from. It's like an ng sound, ng, which kind of makes sense really. But the other thing I'm not sure about, I'll have to find out, is Mongolian, I'm not even 100% sure what language they speak, but is it a tonal language or not? Because that would mean that there's probably a lot more tonally going on in the singing than you would expect, or maybe that we can hear with our Western ears, you know. Just goes to show though, man, a fat groove is just universal, you know. It's really weird because any sort of grit that's in there doesn't seem to be coming from the same place where you know, like your it doesn't feel like false chord sort of engagement. It seems like it's way more compressed, way up higher. It's really hard to sort of place it. It's like, I mean, I know that this is not the kind of thing you can just pick up. I know that like Mongolian throat singing is like an art form in and of itself, and I don't mean to diminish what it is by attempting to do it myself first go, but it's really interesting to my ears because like that whole, that's sort of where you'd normally place, if you were going to sing harsh vocals correctly in a Western sense, you'd normally find that break and just get that false chord sort of fry sound, right? But this seems to be much more, for want of a better expression, it seems like almost like the way Western harsh vocalists do it when they're doing it incorrectly. You know what I mean? But clearly not to the same extent. And obviously it sounds like this is obviously essentially way more talented than what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, wow, those sort of drone notes, the sort of ones that they're just really cool to listen to. It almost has that same rasp as like the instrument does. Wham, you know? Very cool. just rocking a solo. That's really interesting. Let me see that again. It seems like with this instrument, he's not fretting notes. See how his pinky is threaded under that string? I don't know if he's deadening the string with this part of his finger and maybe he's... Well, because he's hitting that string with the bow. So, yeah, he's actually shortening the string length by having his finger underneath the string between the fretboard, or fingerboard, I should say, and the string. And I guess he slides it up. That's why there's so much space there. That's really interesting. I've never considered that concept before. Let's go back a bit. So there he's on top, right? And now he's got it underneath. There's a whole gamut of like different stringed instrument techniques going on there. That's wild. Let's go back a bit so we're not missing that solo. I'll bet you will, buddy. Yeah, did you hear that? That sort of low rumble that sounded almost like a growl was more of like a like a low note going so low that it breaks up into like a percussive sound, like that, rather than like a raw. You know, that's interesting. Let's hear that again. Very cool. Who even knew there was Mongolian motorcycle gangs? Reminds me an awful lot of like the mongrel mob sort of guys from New Zealand. Imagine this at a show, man. Far out. Wolf noises in the background. That's really cool. Oof, we'll be right back. Did you know that Genghis Khan was actually colorblind? Well, no, I mean, neither did I. I've literally got nothing to back that up. However, If he was, he could have clicked on the link in my bio and gone to Enchroma, where he could have got a free eye test, found out what kind of color blindness he had, and then maybe picked up some corrective lenses while he was there. They got styles of frames to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so there's really nothing to lose. Yeah, so if you decide to pick up a pair, use the code CHAOS in checkout and tell them Primal Chaos sent you. You get 10% off, by the way. Okay, so wow, how do we sum that one up? It's really interesting. Essentially, all it is it's a war ballad, right? And it's explaining all of the different ways, no matter how you come at them, they're going to meet it with force, and how they're going to end you and all of your people. And it's said with all the confidence of a nation that at one point took over the entire world. So, you know, there's some rich heritage there, man, and you can hear it through the music. I mean, I know it's been westernized, and, you know, the Who are definitely considered a metal band. But I think that's really only just scratching the surface of what they're really offering, and that's a glimpse into their traditional heritage, juxtaposed against modern Western musical concepts. But the thing I like about it is the westernization of it isn't super overwhelming, and they're just using traditional instruments here. Maybe it's different in other songs. I don't know the rest of their catalog, so be interesting to see if they ever, you know, I mean, I know that they've done crossovers with other metal artists and things like that, so I'd wonder how that sort of bleeds in. So we'll have to do some more Who and find out exactly sort of where they take this on this journey. But man, did I really enjoy this. This was so cool. Got to see a little bit about some of these traditional stringed instruments. You know, that was interesting as well. I'd love to know the names of these ones and sort of how they work. I might have to do a little bit of research on these instruments as well. That's really cool. But fundamentally, you know, there was nothing there I didn't expect. It was just a great journey, really fun. I love the lyrical content. It's basically just challenging you. If you come on elephants, we're going to do this, or if you come like that, we're going to do that. They got a plan for everything. So, look, fundamentally, I just feel like this sort of stuff is really valuable because, you know, if there's someone said in the comments the other day, if you have a dying language, the best way to immortalize it is through heavy metal. This is a perfect example of that, right? At the end of the day, this sort of thing is really important for preserving historically some of these cultures that, you know, are slowly getting washed away. Like it's funny, the westernization of pretty much the entire globe just seems to be this unstoppable force. And, you know, while that may be a good thing or a bad thing, it's certainly something that means that a lot of times heritages just seem to go away, right? You know, I mean, it's crazy, right? Back in 2010, I started going to America pretty much every year, right? And it wasn't that long ago, and I'd go every year, and every year I would notice Australia, which was already highly Americanized in its culture and style, you know, things like shops and malls and things like that already, would just slowly become more and more like America. So to the point where, you know, 2010, there was a lot of little cultural differences and a lot to see and a lot to experience that was kind of a culture shock. But by the time, you know, I went there in like 2018, it was like, what am I even doing here? It's essentially the same as at home, you know, all of the same stores that opened back home and, you know, a lot of the same things. And I mean, that's just in a short period of time. As much as like places like India and China and places like that, have rich cultural heritages and vast populations to catalog and maintain all of this history. There's, you know, cultural sort of integration throughout the world means that a lot of times that's just going to be distilled down into really watered down versions over time. So a great way of preserving all this heritage is by preserving it, like updating it through modernistic interpretation, but with enough of the tradition to sort of keep people interested and to be able to ask the question, where did this sound come from? You know, and to allow people the curiosity to go and research their own heritage and things like that. So, you know, in a way, I mean, it's really positive, but at the end of the day, it's just a badass tune. I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, again, if you feel like I've brightened your day at all, please feel free to buy me a coffee. I'll put a link in the description. More importantly, like, subscribe, share. That's really helpful to the channel, guys. If you want to see me doing way more stuff, you know, it'd be better if I could do it for way more people. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, guys. Again, you know, you guys and your support and your comments are essentially what keeps me doing this. So I really appreciate it. If anybody has any insight into the Who that I might be interested in, and you've got the time, hit me up in the comments. I'm really curious to find out more about the instruments and the guys themselves. Yeah, but at the end of the day, thanks again for a great suggestion, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.